today's video, I'm going to do my best to tell you as many things as I can about each killer in as little time as possible. Trappers sometimes trap windows and pallets. When they don't, they trap near windows and pallets and allow you to use windows and pallets, then push you into their traps. Trappers also like close generators. They find some and use all their traps there. If they're far away from this area, their traps aren't very good. Survivors will sometimes hold this arm on a trap so that another survivor won't step on it. Trappers sometimes pretend to place traps so that survivors will leave the pallet. Trappers also like basement. Stay away from the basement, but don't stay away from the sponsor of this video, Opera GX. Opera GX is the first browser designed specifically for gamers. It has Twitch and Discord integrations on the sidebar, so you won't miss when your favorite streamers are live. Me, for example. You'll find the latest gaming news in the GX corner, which includes things like new releases, the best deals, and new games to try. My favorite thing is they let you limit how many resources Opera uses, with their network RAM and CPU limiters. That's really great for people that want to maximize their game settings and they don't want a browser like Chrome, for example, using all their resources in the background. They also have a lot of cool ways to design and customize the browser to the way that you want it. You can quickly change the colors, as well as the background, really quickly and easily. And if you're a Razer Chroma user, the backlight of the browser also works with Razer Chroma. You can use my link to download Opera GX for free in the description below. And with that, let's get right back to the video. Wraiths sometimes block survivors. They might block you on everything. Pallets, gens, windows, and totems too. Wraiths are a little faster after uncloaking. Sometimes they'll go one way and then go the other to catch you off guard. Cloaked Wraiths don't like flashlights. Billies sometimes rev right behind you. If a billy is impatient with a back rev, it can be quite easy to dodge them. Sometimes running in a straight line and then turning last second can confuse a slightly more patient billy. An even more patient billy watches his chainsaw and waits to see what the survivor is going to do. Billies will sometimes feather through a pallet against greedy survivors so that they can chainsaw them before they get back to the pallet. Sometimes billies will chainsaw around obstacles to catch you off guard. These billies typically move faster and are very familiar with common survivor movements. It's not uncommon for chainsaws to connect like this. Sometimes survivors leave the loop entirely while the billy charges his saw. Other times survivors will dedicate to the corner and they'll make it. Some other times survivors will turn last second to avoid the chainsaw entirely. Sometimes Billy will pretend to chainsaw through a doorway and then chainsaw backwards around the corner. Sometimes Billy will pretend to come to the doorway, but then actually come to the doorway and chainsaw the window or the pallet. I know it's a little complicated, but it's just layers of mind games, I swear. Next, we're going to talk about Nurse, which is a little more complicated, so please stick with me because the mind game layers are going to pile up quickly. When you break line of sight against a Nurse, there's two major things she's going to do. The more risky one is that she's going to blink through the object to where she thinks you are on the other side of it. She can then blink again if she needs to, but sometimes she blinks right on top of you. The second, more safe option is to blink to where the survivor broke line of sight and then blink again if she needs to, once she sees the survivor. Because of this, survivors will sometimes watch the Nurse and try to see which position she's going to blink to. If the survivor thinks the Nurse is going to prediction blink, they will turn around and go back towards where they lost line of sight in order to gain distance on the Nurse. If the survivor thinks the Nurse is going to blink to where they lost line of sight, the survivor will begin preparing to break line of sight a second time. The Nurse might think that she's chasing a good survivor, and so she will pretend like she's going to blink one way and then flick her hand so that she actually blinks to the other way. While in the open, survivors will sometimes turn around and run directly towards the Nurse. If she's not very good or not paying attention, she will overblink the survivor and not be able to make up the distance with her second blink. Survivors will sometimes deadhard a Nurse's blink, but it's only really useful if they deadhard the second blink or if she makes a mistake on her first blink. The Huntress throws hatchets. Sometimes when survivors vault windows or drop pallets, it makes it easier for the Huntress to hit them. This means survivors will sometimes pretend to use these resources but then dodge last second. Because of this, sometimes Huntresses hold their hatchets longer and wait to see what the survivor is going to do. On flat surfaces, Huntresses will sometimes throw in a straight line. Because of this, survivors will sometimes dodge. If a Huntress thinks a survivor is going to dodge, they will throw to the dodge position. Huntresses will sometimes push a survivor one direction and then turn around and throw a hatchet from another direction. Sometimes a Huntress will aim for one position and wait for the survivor to return to that position. Myers wants to stalk multiple survivors as early as he can. Because of this, survivors try to break line of sight for as long as they can. Once he's stalked enough survivors long enough, Myers can instantly down anybody that he finds. Sometimes when his power is ready, Myers can down multiple survivors that are too close together. Myers sometimes gives up the ability to insta-down survivors for the ability to see them through walls. Because of this, Myers is typically stuck in a certain tier, which means he's slower. Myers can also sometimes change his power so that when he's in tier 3, he can instantly mori survivors who haven't been hooked yet. Anyway, watch this.
Genuinely. What? But you haven't even hooked her.
Are you still here?
But...
Oh, you'll never catch me alive.
Where are you, fuck? Survivors can tell when a Myers has this add-on when he's in tier 3 because his empty hand will be open instead of closed. In this state, Myers cannot mori survivors that are in the downed position. Because of this, survivors will sometimes jump in a locker to force the Myers to at least slug them or hook them instead of taking them out of the game immediately. Survivors can drop their item at the moment Myers presses kill, and it will actually force him to down them instead of mori them.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go. You did it.
Yes!
Perfectly.
I'm not dead.
Just like Trapper, hags like gens that are close together. They also like pushing survivors into their traps. A good hag is also constantly pressing her teleport button even when there's not a trap that's being triggered. This is just so she can teleport really fast when it is triggered, even if it's unexpected. Hags also typically trap near hooks. A better hag already has traps near the hook. Hag's trapped area typically forms a web. It's a web because when she pushes a survivor out of that area, the survivor will inevitably trigger a trap. Doctors sometimes shock at pallets too much. Shocking clears the doctor's bloodlust. Really though, don't play pallets like this, it's a terrible idea. The shock mechanic is supposed to prevent actions. Dedicated servers makes it a little more lenient towards the survivor. Because of this, doctors sometimes shock pallets or windows, expecting you to be able to use them, so they preemptively move backwards around to the other side so they can get a free hit. Survivors can sometimes dead hard doctor shocks. You can't dead hard when you're shocked. Like Billy, Leatherface also sometimes chainsaws directly behind survivors. His chainsaw's a little harder to dodge, so survivors typically use pallets and other resources sooner. His name's Leatherface, but let's be honest, we all call him Bubba. Bubba sometimes chainsaw backwards and around in order to confuse survivors. Typically this is when there's no line of sight, but they do also sometimes do it when you can see them. Bubba's chainsaw can down multiple survivors. Because of this, hook saving directly in front of him can be especially dangerous, even with borrowed time. Because of this, basement can be particularly dangerous against Bubba's, which is one reason why survivors won't save when the Bubba hook's there. Freddy's use blood pools to slow down survivors. If survivors trigger this blood pool, it can be very difficult to get back to the pallet before Freddy can hit them. Because of this, survivors will sometimes drop pallets sooner against a Freddy. Sometimes Freddy's will have fake pallets. Because of this, survivors will try to remember which pallets are real when they're awake, and try to remember which pallets have been used when they're asleep. Freddy's will sometimes pretend to teleport to a gen. Sometimes they'll do this so that you'll run into them. Freddy's will also sometimes teleport to a gen that you're heading toward. They do this again so that you'll run into them. Similar to Freddy, the clown also uses his power at the apex of the loop. Because of this, survivors will also typically drop pallets sooner against the clown. Similar to when the Wraith on cloaks in a pallet, pigs will sometimes dash in a pallet, quickly turn around the other way to confuse the survivor and sometimes get it down. Because of this, survivors will sometimes leave the loop early before the pig even notices. Pig is also a stealth killer, so she'll sometimes try to grab survivors off of gens, obviously. Sometimes spirits will phase. And sometimes spirits will pretend to phase. While phasing, spirits usually cannot see blood. An add-on can change this. While phasing, spirits can see when a survivor runs through grass. Healthy survivors don't groan, but spirits can hear them breathing. Iron Will removes breathing and grunts of pain, but only when the survivor is injured. Survivors can sometimes get away with doubling back on the spirit while she's phasing.
Double back. Collapse.
Double back. Because of this, spirits will sometimes phase for a very short time. While in phase, the spirit's body cannot be blinded. Because of this, survivors will sometimes blind the husk at a pallet to see if the spirit is phasing or not. Of course, this doesn't mean that she can't just phase back to where she was. Blinding the spirit in phase will force her out of it. This has never been useful to me. Survivors will sometimes fast vault something only to slow vault back through it. If she's not very good or not paying attention, the spirit won't notice this. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I wanted to do all the killers, but to be honest, even though I have them recorded already, I'm probably going to include them in a second video because it's just too much information in one video. Anyway, huge thanks to Justice for helping plan and record actual hours of footage with me. And also thanks to Bandito, Annie, and Toast for their help in the video as well. Links for them will be in the description below. My friends help so much in making these videos possible for you guys, but to be honest, sometimes they're kind of busy and I feel a little bit bad bothering them for hours of footage. So if any of you guys are interested in being part of these videos, hanging out with us while we grab footage and talking about DBD things, even helping plan to some extent, we're going to give that a try with Patreons. So if you would like to support me on Patreon, you can find my Patreon page in the description below. Other than that, if you're watching this video soon enough, we'll be having a Billy versus Survivor 1v1 $150 tournament live on Twitch. If you want more information on that, you can join my Discord, which is also linked in the description below. I know that's a lot of things to put in the end of a video, but I just have big ideas for some things in the future. So with that being said, if you did enjoy the video and find it helpful, liking, commenting, and subscribing helps the video and channel do better. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys. Okay, let me do one where you dash me on it. Ready? Do it.
Okay, you're gonna have to shake the window though.
Yep.
Go.
Going to power. Hey, I'm gonna delete that video. I'm gonna delete that one. Holy shit, Bandito. 64,000. Holy.
DPI. Whew. Whew. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Oh, okay.
Holy fuck, Bandito went right, dude. You recover from that? Oh my god, you recover from that?
You like that one, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty nice.